I've messed up. Last time I messed up because I had it going through my headphones, and so it was getting a very low volume on you, very high volume on me, and then it mushed it together, and it's like it was almost useless. I
Yeah,
did manage
but
to
Whisper
extract some
deals
stuff.
well with that. I had that exact same thing, but Whisper does well with that.
Hmm.
So yeah, food for thought. Whisper, I think, is the better model. It's more diverse. I'm starting to see that all these benchmarks for different AIs are like benchmark schmenchmark. Like this sort of that they tell you something or other. Like they tell you that the model is in the ballpark of what you're looking for, and you should pay attention. But once you start to use it, it's a different kind of equality that you can assess. The like can it handle phone calls where one speaker is of a different volume than the other is a pretty common scenario, and Whisper
Yeah.
way outshines Nova 2 on that particular task. So
Hmm.
and then even today I was trying to use O1 with Canvas because I quite like the Canvas thing for editing or seeing history of documents.
Hmm.
O1 versus O1 Pro, it's like O1 Pro just leaves it in the dust. Like it's
Hmm.
not even a competition. The type of coding skill that O1 Pro has, even over O1. So
Hmm.
it's yeah, benchmarks. But where's our O3, man? It's due. Like I've
It
been
is due. However,
giving myself panic attacks waiting for this
I've
fucking
had
thing.
I've so yeah, part of the problem here is I've been doing almost all nighters like a student, yeah, on DeepSeek, um, and I've got some really good results by getting, interestingly enough, DeepSeek to go like some kind of uh, MMA fight with Open or O1 Pro,
Okay.
um, and so yeah, O3 sure, but DeepSeek, I know it's Chinese, and yeah, of course they're going to be scraping data. However, you can, and I've tried this, download if you've got a decent enough machine, which I don't. Um, Download locally, turn off the internet, and run your stuff. So
That's
if you,
awesome. Hate to be the bugbear here, but where's the formulas?
I'm showing it, I'm sharing it. You should be. Can you see that?
Man, I don't see anything. I don't see anything.
Uh,
I mean, I can
um,
see it on Riverside, but I don't see it within Immerse. Oh, there, I got you. It came up behind my screen, which is less than helpful.
uh-huh.
Whatever.
Okay, so what I've got at the moment is um,
Oh, so
okay, a
you've
couple
actually made progress
observations.
on the formulas. It wasn't. I was just. That was just me being a dick, was it?
Yeah. You're being
Okay.
fine.
All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. I need these. We need these things, man. Like all the fucking cool toys in the world, but we need.
Yeah. But the okay, I'll not go
This
through
is
the process
okay.
of how
All
we got
right. This is
this,
what we're
but
talking about.
right,
This is what we're talking about.
I'll take you through a couple interesting things, right? First,
Yep.
before showing the formulas. But I've just done a commit with the latest, greatest. Now I need to do some renders to see where it's weird. But so I ran through everything that we've got through O1 Pro. I got it to create the mask. I've got a thing here which says
What's the
immersion.
thing?
I'm going to go on X here. It's just floating in my. If I cut you off, it's not personal. I just need to get rid of this thing. You still there?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Um, right. So I did a rinse and wash, and it came up with this. I renamed it an adaptive attribution mechanism. I don't know why, but it came up with quite an interesting bunch of modifications. So I ran these through to one of the most impressive things is if you're taking time slice using epochs and there's a massive marketing push, marketing decays far faster than the code, and so you need to take that into review. Um, the weights, uh, how do you come up with the weights? And last call we were saying let's just start at zero point 0.5 for everything, um, and it gave after I gave the Chinese output to the American output, it gave a pretty nice, and I've tested this with a few, but I need to do some renders, some stabilization things because they're saying there are some runaway in the descriptions that we had. There are some runaway situations, but what you
Oh,
need to
like it
do
may never stabilize. It may if we
right,
pick those initial variables wrong, then it may never stabilize,
right, because
right?
we were yeah exactly, and so it's proposed um,
Okay, so we
uh,
need to run it then. We need to run it on some fixed data first, like the runway data, where we know
yeah
that it comes out with a good set of starting weights that have because it's run on some curated projects, and then let it go, right?
right. Also, it came up with some pretty decent interaction weighted things. This is all in the repo about things like capping. It's like what you don't want to do is to get it too wild. Um, so if someone puts in a piece of work, they can,
Oh, like a damper.
given some kind of index, they can say, I think this is worth this, but then the AI takes into account everything that's been done on its usage on that system, but also longitudinally across other systems, and saying, well, you might think it's this, but hey, boy, it's actually this,
Right.
which I
So it's
think
so
sounds fair.
the dampening function of the system is probably the most important one. The fact that it
Yeah.
can change, but it dampens whatever anyone says.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Um, and then it gave,
Can you go back up back to the last
yep,
formula?
yep, yep.
No, down.
This one.
Value distribution mechanism. This one.
Yep. So once it's dampened, once it's made sure that there's no runaway and
Yeah.
there's no temporal effects, like one person's just done something really useful, but it's only really useful now. It's not going to be useful in a week. Let's say do a podcast that broadcasts it to everything, but that doesn't change it. That doesn't distort the value distribution. It gives short term, yeah, sure, but it doesn't overwhelm the coding effort that's taking 6 years to do just because someone has gone on TV and said, "Hey, Dreamcatcher is cool."
It might though, if it was Donald Trump.
Well, it might, but again, that's weighted against the impact, which is the external information, which has been has done a pretty good job of not assuming any particular type of contribution, um, and the contribution value is down to the AI. The contribution um, uh, data is down to real world what actually has happened.
Okay, so how close is this to something we can run?
I I'm at the stage now that I want to do some renders and see where it goes wrong.
All right. So what's in the
Um,
way?
Nothing. Just time.
Okay.
This has been uh, possibly the hardest 4 days thinking I've ever done in my life. But I'm confident now that if we do some renders and we figure out whether there are any intrinsic problems with this, it's in the language that the AI can sort out. Essentially, the process is you do a thing, you record the thing, it can give um, a weight to that. You can also put in your own weight, saying, "Hey, I had to, you know, assassinate 2 people in order to get this to happen." That's a big thing. Um,
Right. Or I may do a
uh,
podcast, no one cares, and then I, shoot the president. No, I didn't say that. You might do
yeah,
some sort of
yeah,
extreme act, and then suddenly your podcast is famous, and now this product is now selling like hotcakes briefly because of a
right.
podcast that didn't matter. And so,
But then,
that's worth
yeah, but
something.
then you got the temporal decay. Um, so you're as I always went on about project management and so on. Now, project management is useful, but it's not lasting. The lasting thing is the asset itself, but it's not nothing. Um, and there might be uh, half a dozen guys who jump in and help. And so there is the temporal decay in that formula here.
Something that's
That
going to actually a distortion that's going to. Uh, sorry, do you mind if can I finish what I was saying and I'll come back?
Yes, please. Yeah, go.
Something that's definitely going to happen is that we're going to distort what types of dimensions do contribute because of the difficulty, a combination of the difficulty in measuring them and the sheer disparity between common beliefs of what they're worth or what they can currently get on the open market versus what we just can't beg, plead, or bash the bot into accepting a value above. And so Dreamcatcher projects are going to have a unique set of incentives simply because the attribution algorithm is unable to cater to some modes of weighting between different contribution dimensions within certain projects, right? So we already, just by the nature of what this thing is, already are biased towards some types of projects versus others.
What types of projects would it be biased towards?
I think would be very much biased towards code and prompt engineering projects, web
I
projects.
think I think that's okay for now. Just to bootstrap ourselves up into um, understanding exactly how these feedback mechanisms, because this is a feedback loop, how they deal with it.
Yeah,
Um,
right. Like feedbacks. Okay, so how many levels of feedback are there?
the feedback is based on an epoch. It's like, right, okay, boom. You can calculate it at any point, but on the event, um, then these, the interaction, the stable weight normalization, and so on, um, renders down into real numbers, and then that's it.
Right. So there's there's
However,
almost like a block time of the system, right?
okay,
It's you can get your revenue right now, or you can defer the calculation and wait till a more favorable algorithm is published in a block. And but the sheer time it takes for you to compute a new block is much higher than it takes to execute the algorithm on your specific instance or your use case. And therefore, you get this natural delay between when the algorithm is recalculated and when your instance of running that algorithm is recalculated, keeping in mind that the data that you're going to feed into that algorithm is changing day by day as well.
Yes, yes. And there's also an interesting thing, I think it's on this. When it goes into governance, there's the lower decay, multiple projects waiting as a global fraction. So it's like it's not just that project that it's considering. It's like what is reasonable with all the projects. What's everyone else found is reasonable.
Right. Mate, it looks like you're heading down the highway with this thing, like you are
Yeah,
approaching
there's
conclusion.
there's also something I'm not sure it's on this
I
tab.
would hate to see your token burn
Um,
right now. You're
yeah.
probably the one responsible for O1 Pro losing
Well,
money.
I've
Jesus.
the number of times I get. Oh, it's not on this tab. Um, it's I've committed it. It also has a similar thing about governance and weighted governance, including, um, interestingly enough, governance on when a payout is due. Um, is it further up? Uh, no, it's not. It's on another tab. But there's a similar
Man, this is a
mass
lot of
governance proposal.
information.
Yeah, yeah. Man, I swear I've never thought so hard. My thinking has been going through the roof for the last 4 days. Um, and which is why I need to do some renders because it's
Yeah.
way out racing me. It's way out racing me.
Yeah. So
Um,
so so what I'm learning too is there's a lot of tactics that I have built up over the years that I've been working in the knowledge domain. And so a lot of them need to go, right? So like
mm,
restarting from scratch, binning work. Those are things that feel very unnatural to do, but with the bots on your side, you're almost better to do it again than you are to try and pick your way through the particular way you've come. It's almost like it's beneficial for you to try 10 times from scratch than to try 2 times methodically, like what used to work for us.
yeah. Well, you see, my latest commit was basically um, the entire innovation domain has been rewritten, all of it, and the lore has been rewritten. So it's coherent with the intent of what we're trying to do, but it was pointing out some really major, hey guys, you know, here's a problem. You're effectively using softmax, and that can run off to infinity. That's not going to work. Um, so yeah, you'll see in this latest commit all of these things. It's also, may I say, got much tighter. You see these definitions, um, and the it's doubling down on lower. So the definitions have got tighter and smaller, and lower has got mathy, very very mathy, which I think is a good thing. Um, uh, but yes, it's still going on our conversations and what we've done, but it's pointing out where we've gone
Okay.
wildly wrong.
So what areas are you having trouble with, or uncertainty
Um,
or doubt about?
the only one really is my ability to understand what they say. Um, so it takes, uh, I was complaining that I was having to sit around for, 10 10, 12 minutes while O1 Pro did its thing. Now I think O1 Pro is sitting thinking, bloody hell, Maxwell, you're taking an hour to read this before your next prompt. Honestly.
Yeah, that's good. That's good balance. That's a good balance. That means that that's how it should be. I'm seeing the same kind of delays. Like it'll take me a good 5 minutes to go through its output from one run, in which case there can be like, several other outputs going on as well.
Yeah. So that's the only delay on it, which is why I'm thinking renders are the next thing. So what we've got at the moment is, according to these two models, DeepSeek and One Pro, have agreed finally that this is this does a thing.
So
great.
DeepSeek and O1 Pro had a little bit of an argument.
Yeah.
And out the bottom of it came.
It's not a little bit of an argument. Yeah, they were getting pissy. Well, they didn't know of each other. I was copy and pasting, but they were getting, you missed that.
So adversarially, you pitch them against each other, and now you've settled upon something that neither one can refute or cares anymore to argue about.
Yeah, right? I remember last time I was going through a process of where I was running O1 Pro 6 times and then getting it to show the differences. That was cumbersome and kind of got an okay answer. Using DeepSeek and Pro against each other, I'm getting it kind of first time. And it's a bit like an argument, but they just don't know that they're arguing against each other.
So you would say then that the diversity that's introduced by having a separate, independent intelligence quickens the convergence on a stable answer.
Yeah. And in retrospect, it kind of makes sense. So if these are two people, if you had one person and you go, no, that's not right, go off and think it again, think it again, they're going to be thinking around the same ways. If you have two people, they'll be thinking it from different areas. Now, I know DeepSeek used Pro to actually build itself, but there are nuances that are there that make it interesting when you put one output into another one. So, it's like I just dumped the Concat, which was the latest Concat from Pro, into DeepSeek, and it was going, "Whoa, you've forgotten this, you've forgotten that." It was the one that looked at, and where is it? I'm not sure if it's on this screen. I'll give an example. It's
weight impact. I think that's fine. I've got other questions.
You get the point.
Other problems. Point, right? I get the point, and like what areas have you stumbled upon that deviate from what you and I had a shared understanding of over all this time? What's changed in a way that I should be aware of?
I don't know yet because I haven't done the renders, but to my eye, all it's done is anticipated problems that we simply didn't talk about or didn't understand or would never have figured out.
Okay, so the basic structure of what we expect the formulas to cover still stands.
Yep. Yes.
But there are nuances. There are nuances in the application that these machines have helped surface, and those are what needs to be worked through with renders and other methods, right?
Yeah, they're still going for Aladdin's lamp. They've just said,
so what's say the number one? Can you give me some examples of these types of call outs?
Yeah, sure. The runaway um, aspect of waiting
Yep, yep.
when
The
generating
lack of
depop,
dampening.
the dampening, the impact of short-lived but impactful events, which don't actually add to the code, like
Oh,
marketing.
the impulse, high impulse.
Right. Yep. High impulse, as we had it, would have had a very long-lasting effect, whereas
Right,
it was just based
right. Whereas,
on a single event. And yeah, well, there's
okay,
three. There are others. I can get it to
all
generate
right.
a list of them if you like, but yeah, there's a number of
They sound
oh,
they sound not fatal.
no, they're not. No, and every time there's at the end, it's always very polite to us and saying, "This is an amazing new blah blah blah. You guys are great," um, which burns more tokens, which is a bit annoying. Um,
It's so annoying, eh? It's like I want my money back, not the
yeah,
compliment. Like, don't
that's
like
right.
shut up.
But it
Keep your opinions to
complicates.
yourself. When I want
It
them, I'll
compli-
pay for them.
yeah, but there are no gotchas. There are
No
only
gotchas.
holes. There are only holes in our, holes in our thinking. There's nothing that I've seen in the last 4 days that um, contradicts anything that we've been doing in our monkey brains over 5, 6 years or whatever it is.
Have you got a sense of what you expect the run cost will be for one cycle of attribution so that we can understand what is the smallest unit of value to which we can attribute to, given that it would be uneconomical if attribution costs more than 20% of the value transferred?
I can't answer that because I don't know how prices are going to change, but I do know that DeepSeek, if you buy your own server and depreciate that over 3 years or a number of servers, you can get some awesome results. Um, Going back to a kind of traditional sense of you own the server and you pay the electricity and that's it. So it's not a token thing. Um, so I don't know.
It's
I could
always a
do a bit of
token
work
thing.
on it,
It's
but
always it's always a token thing. It's just that the pricing that we are experiencing right now is probably 100 times what it should be. But
right.
that doesn't really
It
matter
was.
because
Sorry, go.
the one of the fundamental anchors of our economic system, unless you're going to tell me different, is the ability to charge for so that people pay other people for token costs, and then the software costs or royalty profit share costs are added on top, and they probably can't be more than 30% on top. And so why I say token cost always matters is because it's always relative. So the token cost of running the attribution is always going to be considered next to the token cost of consuming the thing that was of value. And that's why I'm like, if for like $1 worth of tokens consumed, I'm going to have to spend $5 to figure out who gets paid. Obviously, that's bogus. That's kind of like what do you think the complexity or the cost of running this formula is going to be roughly?
Okay, so this is a very rough spitball, but I did spend a bit of time looking at this.
Mm.
If you buy a Mac Mini, which is just as a reference point, that's $1,000. Um, that Mac Mini can run 14B DeepSeek uh, off grid or on grid, so you don't have to worry about the whole kind of Chinese thing. So long as you don't ask about Taiwan, don't ask about Taiwan. But
Where's Taiwan?
well, they've DeepSeek of being a Chinese company under Chinese law. Um, they've got these.
Yeah, I was trying to be funny. Obviously, I spend too much time in front of a computer for that to have worked out. But
Okay, yeah, yeah, it didn't work. Right. So, in answer to your question, um, cloud-based services. I did a return on investment. Uh, you run out roughly around about the 4 or 5 month mark versus buying a machine. So if we were to dispute the compute, if you're going to
I
run it
think
for
my
more than
question was. I think I may have asked my question wrong. Would
uh,
it be okay to try again?
yes, please.
What I mean is the relative token cost between running the attribution and doing the act of generating the value that is to be attributed to. I do not mean the cost of running it in absolute terms. I mean the cost of doing, because attribution is now an administrative overhead, and I need to get a feel for what it is relative to the utility of the thing being consumed. And I know you can't answer that in a strong way, but I was just hoping you might have a sense of it.
My sense of it is um, very, very weak, but I'll give it anyway.
Yep,
Um, running
it's better than mine.
running attribution is a function of the time slice, uh, and um, running. And I'll find this on the renders, but if we assume that figuring out the attribution actually involves considering more information than the thing that it's actually trying to attribute, that
Oh,
ratio,
that's a good point.
say,
That's a great point. That's great. Okay, that was the answer I was looking for.
good. And
Which
I'll run
even
some
which
experiments to
favors,
find.
yeah, that favors the block minting type model even more, because input tokens cost roughly 10% of what output tokens cost. And
Mm.
so the more information you look at, the higher that cost goes. And so you need to pre-compute or take snapshots of the world and then work out big chunks with some sort of gaps in between, like how a TV screen shows you one frame every second instead of showing you a continuous image, right? And so,
Yeah.
because of the ratio of the cost of input tokens to output tokens, and because calculating attribution requires, man, let's just call it 1,000 times more input tokens than actually what the whatever it was you ran is, that means that you need to epoch in a longer time. Like, I'm guessing maybe a couple of days would be almost too soon, and that makes it a very good candidate to be used as a block hash or a proof of work style thing, so that you can solve the next block to increment the attribution snapshot, which is going to cost you resources. But once you've solved it, you now get a small reward for the ongoing usage of it, for notching the mechanism forward. And because that epoch must be at least a couple of days, that's a very good stable heartbeat for the system to hold, because it gives it time to breathe and people time for it to disseminate, time for it to be used. It's not like so high frequency that it runs off the rails. So that's a very good candidate for being used as a consensus mechanism.
Mm. That's an excellent point. I agree. One thing I'd add to that is that the epoch time varies on um, the life cycle of the project. At the start, if there's only two people putting in a small amount of time, running
Mm.
attribution is probably cheaper than running the actual application or the NAP. Um, as more complexity is added to it, it needs to consider more things, and so running the attribution algorithm at some point gets more expensive than running the NAP itself.
Okay. All right.
So,
Cool. That is very exciting. What now?
well, that's about as far as I've got at the moment. As I say,
That is absolutely awesome. If you can land these formulas, Maxwell, I will take my VR hat off to you.
I'm not sure you can do that, can you?
Yeah, I can. It'll just stop the recording. That's all. But I'll do it. I'll do it. What do you need from me? What do you need from me?
Nothing yet, because my next plan is to um, get some synthetic data in there and have a look at exactly how these formulae that have been proposed work, and then get both DeepSeek and Pro to assess them and see where it's going wrong. I'm looking for two things really. I'm looking for weirdness, for want of a better word, anomalies, red flags. That as a human, I'm going to be the one um, stepping in and going, that doesn't seem right. But the definitions and the lore are complex enough now that it takes a hell of a long time to actually read through it. Um, so the process is renders. This is weird. Tell me why it's weird. Consider all the lore and the definitions, and what do we need to change, as
Okay.
opposed to manually going through and trying to figure out, okay, is that right, and so on.
Okay.
I think we've
Are there any
bootstrapped
changes? Are there any
above
changes to Concat that you need?
that. No, actually. May I take my virtual hat off to you? Concat I use more often than any other part of this. Um, it is highly useful. I guess the only thing that would be useful is having some kind of um, uh, way of batching up, because quite often, for example, you just the AI is just rewritten 30,000 words of definitions.
Mm.
Um, and at the moment, I'm just going into the command line, doing concat this and that, and then that, and then that, and then that, and that, and then copying and pasting. Um,
Mm.
so some kind of workflow where I could, for example, say um, concat innovation and lore, and then just do it. But I can do that in a bash script. You don't
What?
need to
What? Hang
worry
on.
about that.
Why isn't that working right now? Because I can do that. Can you show me on your
Show me.
screen how you're trying to? Yeah, just do it.
Um,
That's like the
well,
primary use case of that program.
yeah,
So I'm looking at the
hold on.
DeepSeek screen. I
Okay,
can't see that
so
screen. That screen's too small. Can you put that on your other
is that too small?
monitor? Or big in it, whatever that is. Oh yeah. Hey, look at that.
Right.
Okay, sweet. Awesome. Okay.
So what I'm
Cool.
doing at the moment is, well, here's an example. Where's my cursor gone? Lost my cursor. It doesn't matter. Right. Okay. So concatenating lore. Yep. Happy concatenating. I know I could do this in a single line, but I'm concatenating different things at different times. So sometimes I'll
show me,
concat.
show me. I don't want to hear it. Show me what you're doing.
I'm showing you. Here it is. Right. So
No,
concat
the command
your,
line. What are you putting in there? Just type what you put in the command that you're having trouble with.
no. Right. Okay. Here's a better way of showing it. Where's cursor? What I'm doing at the moment. This might be just me being monkey brain. Nip. Where is it? No. Yeah. What I'm doing is saving this sort of.
Dear God, what? Okay, why do you put the whole path in there? For one.
It's because it's on my NAS.
No, but you're logged in there, right? Like you're in the NAPS folder. Like, see where the terminal is right now. If you typed into your terminal right now, you would not need the absolute path. You could just go reasoning / domains / and that will get everything.
Right. So
what are you doing, man? Like you're using this command wrong. Let me try and can I
tell me how? Tell me a better way.
So click on the terminal on the inside cursor. The terminal cursor. Down the bottom. Yeah, inside cursor. Click.
Yep.
What the fuck? Where did you move cursor to? Can you put it back where it was? Because I can't see that. Or if you do that, can you not see that? It's because you moved it. You grabbed it and you moved it. Yeah. Leave it there. Pretty please. Yep. Okay. Now, you want me to give you a command that does everything that you've got in this thing that I'm looking at, right?
Yeah. What I'd like to do is something like concat domain I don't really want well, actually this is a small matter. We don't need to.
Yeah, dude, we need to, because you gotta these tools, you use them every day. You get just a little bit better at them and it makes a huge difference.
All right, so concat domain innovation right now it's going to create concat.txt, right?
Yeah, but you gotta put that in quotes or else your shell will escape the glob.
Yeah. Okay, so just copy and paste. This would be a better one. Right. Okay. So if I were to do that, right, what I'm doing here is I want in this instance I want all domains. I want now that gets concat.txt, and so then I've got to move concat.txt because the next thing I want to do is to do all stucks. Which also is
just okay. Go back. Can you get rid of the? Can you press Control B or Command B or something to get rid of this Explorer view on the side because it's making me feel claustrophobic. Command B.
Command B.
Control B. What's Control on a Mac? There isn't one. What?
Is that done? I just did Command B.
No. Is there a Control on a Mac?
Oh, there is a Control.
Can you do Control B?
I'm doing Control B.
Or now. Command B. What about Command B?
Yeah.
Dear God.
What is the problem? You don't like that bit?
I don't know. Well, because I can't. Yeah, there you go. Yep, but close enough. Hey, okay. All right.
Okay.
So,
all right.
So can you give me I'm sorry, but it's just going to be painful navigating with natural language. Can you give me a quotation in front of domain? So like concat space and then a quote in the command line window in the terminal.
Command line, what are you doing? Right, so I'm doing this with the headset on, trying to look at my keyboard as well because I don't have pass-through.
Oh shit, okay. Is there a better way for us to do this? I'll tell you what, I'll type it and then I'll paste it over to you in WhatsApp. How about that?
Yeah, cool.
Is that cool? Yeah. All right. So, can you see my shared screen?
I can.
Well, isn't that just fancy? Okay, so, oh dear.
Although it seems to be embedded into a rather fancy-looking coffee table. So let me move it a bit.
God, technology. Right, here we go. So the command that you would type is concat space reasoning / domain / star, and then you wanted all the stucks, so you would go reasoning / domains. Oh, hang on a minute. What I would actually do, buddy, is I would go cd space reasoning / domains, so that you're in the domains folder. And then I would go, change into the reasonings folder because that'll save you a bunch of typing. And then I would go domains and then stucks. Oh, thanks, Mark Zuckerberg. Don't highlight my damn text, okay? it's just suffering everywhere you go.
Why would that ever be useful?
Okay. And then I go ingest / star. And now what'll happen is that if you ran that command, you will get exactly what you wanted there. So can I get you to do that?
Yeah, no, I will do it after.
No, do it now. Do it. Just do it. Just
seems
do it.
Real obvious.
Do it. Well, it's not fucking obvious if it's been several weeks and you're not using the tool right. That I made you.
No, I don't know what's on my what I'm about to leak on my WhatsApp. But
well, okay. Well, I'm not looking at it, and if you're not looking at it, then
okay.
Let me know when I can stop gazing out the window. I mean, I never had a job before where I just. Okay, all right. That was short-lived.
Right. So, you wanted to
CD
reasoning.
Yep.
That seems a very small number of tokens.
What?
348. It should be close to 19,000. Yeah.
You didn't type the command as I gave it to you. How do you expect that to work?
I copied and pasted. I did nothing else.
Well, I'm gonna blame you for that because you need 2 stars at the end of each thing there.
Well, I'm looking at your thing and
yeah, it's because WhatsApp formatted it and then hid you a thing, and then now you understand why I chose the ASCII ARMA format to encode the files, because this sort of thing happens.
Yeah, fair one. Hold on a second. I've got a cunning plan as well on how to deal with this.
No, back, no.
No.
Get rid of the final /star.
That.
Yeah.
The ducks. As is.
Star. Please.
And then just star.
Yeah. Okay, hit it.
Okay.
Can you maximize the terminal?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much.
Oh, well, actually, that's fair enough. That's so many tokens because I tend not to do all the domains because the domains have got a lot of information in them now. So
okay, well, filter it.
Like that. No, it's still really big. Why is that so big?
Yeah. Well, the
it's
ingest.
ingest. It's ingest. Get rid of the ingest.
But see, I made you this thing that shows you the tokens per file.
Yeah, that part is exceptionally useful.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling really picky because you're asking, is there anything that you need? And actually, it's easy enough because I just I'll show you.
You need to. Yeah, this tool. I use this tool all day, every day. You need you should use it efficiently. It takes such a short time to learn.
Yeah, basically what I do is for each of these, and this is what I'm doing wrong. So do you see what I'm highlighting now?
Concat / volumes something, right?
I think that's my mistake. That's my mistake. So what I'm doing is concatenating each one individually and then concatenating them, concatenating the concat together.
And concat. Yeah, you don't need to do that.
All right, that's a technique. That's not a change of code. That's my bad.
Okay. Additionally, if you take the time to read the docs, you'll notice there's also the --ignore thing. If there's a particular type of file that you find is getting sucked in there that you didn't want, loads of options.
I have read the docs.
Okay. You know what I should do? I should give you more examples.
After you text me saying, can you? Yeah. After you text me saying, can you just read the docs? I did actually read the docs.
Right. You threw me a curveball there. I didn't realize. I never, in my wildest dreams, thought you could have replaced the URL for the npm registry with something else, and that's why the code wasn't working. So I'll put in some examples to the docs that show how to do the multi-folder concat that you were just trying to do.
Yeah,
because I see that is not obvious.
Yeah, because typically there are a few concat operations that I do quite often. In fact, very often. Right. Which is usually let's get in innovation as a domain definitions. Let's get in lore. Sometimes it gets stuck in, and then is a cut and paste.
Okay, is it safe to say that with the tool as it is right now, that should be enough for you to survive until we have this running on our own platform when Concat will be no more?
Man, it's my favorite tool at the moment, so I don't want to diss the tool.
It's about to disappear. It's about to disappear and become ambient or background, where all this stuff will just happen seamlessly.
The concept of like, well, it's similar to Cursor, isn't it? It's like consider this, consider that, consider this.
Except Concat gives you hard control. Cursor gives you soft control, and you're like, I missed something. Like, what did you chunk out? I don't want you to optimize it. I want every single character.
Yeah. Yeah, and the thing I love about Concat is you can actually check the output. You can go up and do just like
Yeah.
find this particular
Yeah.
thing. It's like, oh, good.
All right. Okay. So version 9 is where it'll stay until you tell me there's some faults. Okay. Anything else from your side, or may I proceed with the CRM update?
Yep, I am done. I will stop sharing. If you share, it should come up on.
Oh, you want me to share on Riverside, don't you?
Yeah, because I'm actually quite a Riverside fan, just because of the quality of the
Quality.
transcripts, but also the YouTube is like fine, and but because our heads move all the time, I'm having to freeze screens in order to
Yeah.
try and
Can
read
you
what you're
stop
doing.
sharing? Can you stop sharing so that I can share?
Oh,
You're
yes.
hogging the share spot.
I do apologize. That's very rude of me. There you
So rude. It's all right. Come to expect it.
go.
The entire screen. YOLO. Here we go. Okay. Okay. So that's
Okay, we're on. Right. I'm going to
probably fairly worthless, but
spin it up there.
the CRM. I'll give you the ugly stuff first because that'll lose your attention fastest.
Okay. That's a lot of whatever that is.
Yeah, so these are my Comcats. Oh, you'd be proud of me, dude. Like I've been able to actually get O1 to think, like kind of hard. I think I've got the hang of how to ask it proper questions, right? Like here's look at this for reasoning, right? Like that's a decent number of steps, I think.
You're getting there. You're getting there.
Getting
I
there,
had a 15.
getting there.
I had a 15-minute think a thought.
15 minutes.
You're getting there.
See, like that's a lot of steps, right? Like that's a decent number of like this thing is working. It's
This
working.
is incidentally, just before you move on to your stuff, which I really want to hear about on DeepSeek. One of the things that I really love is instead of having the details over to one side, it's actually just talking to you in the thread, but it's not considering
show
its
me?
own consideration. Yeah, sure.
I'll stop sharing. My share was short-lived.
And I will share. Screen. Dark screen. Gotta find it there. Right. So here. So here's a big prompt, and
I can see
only 25
nothing.
seconds.
I see nothing.
Oh.
You haven't shared in Riverside, nor have you shared in Immerse.
I've not.
I
I
might
have
say
shared in Riverside.
you are being
not
digitally
shared
selfish.
in Immersed. There you go. All right.
Okay.
What I quite like is.
Did you want to share in Riverside or
I know I already have.
Fine. It's not showing. It's well, you're not. You're not. It's not there.
Why not?
Well, look at it. You got to do it. You got to click the thing.
Oh, damn it! Oh, for fuck's sake!
No.
Right.
Oui.
Well, I know this is a small thing, but
small things make big things, buddy.
What you get is this internal monologue. It's like, okay, right, let's tackle it. It's like, all right, okay. And then it's like,
can you show it to me running?
Sure. What do you want to ask it? What were you talking about here?
I don't know. You're the DeepSeek expert, aren't you? Can you just rerun this query again?
I'll give it a new one.
What's the token window on this thing?
I haven't reached it, and they haven't published it, so I don't know.
What? That's an odd thing not to tell people.
I don't know. Give me.
Cheapsake.
Okay. Consider carefully whether.
Where are you typing? Oh, I see. Yeah, it's delayed here. Funny.
Any mistakes above, and highlight any you find. Okay, so that's a kind of self-thinking bit.
Yeah. A bit of
On the
reflection.
token window, it doesn't tell you what it is, but every now and again you say you've exceeded the length, and so it's like, yeah.
That is unbloody
Um,
helpful. So
yeah.
really they're just they don't have a
There
good
is a
thread
length there.
truncation system. Right, they're not
Right.
truncating the thread nicely, that's all.
Yeah, exactly.
Fair enough. I mean, they probably just wanted to get up and running. I mean, they only got what
Yeah.
was it, $6 million? Spent it all on GPU.
Yeah, they've spent much more than $6 million. That's
I
completely
know, right?
you know
It's
that.
like whatever, guys. Whatever.
It's they've used something that's cost $1 billion to make in order to
Yeah, government
research
funded.
something. It's cost $100 million.
Military
but
data center.
The very
and they're
last
like,
training
hey.
run, the very last training run, $6 million, and then
Well, that's the
stock
thing, right?
market
Like being
crashing.
able to, you can get to a point with this stuff where you can have a very concrete prompt that can generate all your work again from scratch, but it just took you a very long time to figure out what that prompt was.
Right, exactly. It was interesting how the markets reacted, though. Did you see that bounce down and up?
Yeah, I think that's I think it's not really related to DeepSeek.
No,
I think
I think
DeepSeek
it
is
was
great
because
but
the timing of it.
look, yeah, look, I did.
Yeah,
This was
we don't
not.
care.
This
We
is
don't
not
care. We
helping
don't
me.
care. Anyway,
Yeah.
so right here you get. I'll just show you an old one. I find this personally, and this might be a personal thing. This is very useful because this comes out and you can read it, and you can. It's like.
Can you show it to me
internal-
running?
Well, I can't because I'll need a new chat. Well, actually,
Can
what
you-
we'll do. I'll just I'll rerun my original one in a new chat. See if that works. I'm not sure whether I'm on the naughty bench or not. Okay, so you see, you can almost speed read it. It's like, okay, first thing, yeah, okay, yeah. It's for me, it's more in tune. It's like rather than going through the chunks after the fact. It's like, well, doing it first. Yeah.
Well, you can open up those chunks while it's thinking, and it will stream in like this for you. Not that I'm defending anything, but this is the same. That's the same experience if you click on the thinking button while it's running in O1 Pro.
Yeah. Yeah, which is what I'm saying. I think it's just a preference thing.
Do you just prefer the tone that it takes? Like you feel like it's more talking to you than just talking to itself?
Yeah, it feels more like an internal monologue that you have access to.
Right. It's a lot more
because
verbose,
there's a couple
that's for
times.
sure.
Yeah, there's a couple times I've seen things and I thought, actually, you've got that wrong. And
Right.
and use this based on the context. I could say,
Okay.
I could pick that
Right.
up, which would not be in the output. It's
That's
I
awesome.
think this is a personal preference thing. Anyway, but
Right.
the point
Can I
being, I'm a bit of a fan, except
Alright,
when
cool.
you ask awkward questions.
Okay, I don't even want to know.
like,
Okay, can I go back to sharing now?
Yep. I'll stop sharing there, and I will go back to. Yep, you're on.
Sweet.
Okay.
So,
You did ask, right?
yeah, and you did, and you told me.
Oh, you did.
You told me. Yeah. No, that's great. That's what I wanted. I just don't care for the politics. I think we're in the early days of the boom.
Yeah, there's no politics on this.
Now, So the issue I'm facing is that I keep doing this pattern. I define the API that I want for Artifact, then I roll down and make the implementation of the backend service that will fulfill that API. I make the take the interface to the object storage, in this case Backblaze B2, and I take the interface to the atomic storage, in this case DNOKV, and I implement them. All of this code is written by O1 Pro with me just running, reading it, correcting it, on occasion correcting minor lint errors with Cursor, but pretty much it's all O1 Pro. And then the issue was like I'm actually really struggling to say what the issue was. It's just the time it takes to re-architect when I realized that I got to the end and I'm like, oh, there's some part of the design that made it really complex. And so now I have to consider a lot of things. And even though the bot can generate them all for me, it's still a considerable load that I have to reason through and read through large numbers of code files. So that's kind of the sticking point. Like, I mean, I'm going at it pretty ferociously in terms of time, but it is somewhat of a sound barrier that you can drown easily if you have a design that somehow ends up with a lot of code being generated at some level where you weren't able to just tell the bot to do it. Like the bot, you almost need to be able to have the bot get it right first time. Otherwise, every time you spend a little bit of time correcting and tweaking, it all adds up over the course of a day, and then the sun goes down and you're hooped.
Can I offer an observation, but it might not apply? Because we're kind of in the same foxhole on this one. Because I was mentioning earlier that just one prompt will generate 40,000 words. It's, that's a short novel. So this is why I was moving on to renders. Now, renders for me are tests of logic. Correctness, coherence, and completeness is easy because I can just tell it to it and then it generates another 40,000 words. But what I need to move on to, which is the next step, is actually run it against synthetic data. In your world, that is effectively unit tests. What makes you feel compelled to read through? Why not just take it as a black box? It's better than the best employee you could hire right now, and maybe it would be wrong. So if you had a great,
I have to read it because the key issue with artificial intelligence is that there are more ways to interpret what I say than I'm aware of. And if I don't read it, one of those interpretations may slip through and then it will be built upon in later generations. And so that I can have this rot all throughout the system that I have to pick backwards and trace back to where did it enter. And so it seems cheaper to make sure it's doing the right thing at the start.
So one of the strategies I've done for that, from my side of the fence, is do a prompt, get lots of stuff, and then I rewrite the same prompt just from a completely different direction, different vector, and then just say, was your last response coherent with this? So all I'm doing is rewriting the prompt, but I'm rewriting the prompt in a completely different way, from a different perspective. So, for example, sometimes
I understand the technique. I do not feel confident that I could apply that to code. because code, what you're working in is English, except for these like nuggety formulas that are sort of like, there's like one formula per 10,000 words type of thing. And so you can
That's
look at the
thing,
formula
yeah.
and get that, whereas this is all formula and no words. So the words can be close. The code doesn't have that same softness about it.
What sort of error does it come up with? Just so I know. Now you're like 2 orders of magnitude above me on code.
It doesn't. That's the thing. It doesn't come up with errors. The errors are mine. The errors are because I started out down the wrong path and I told it what to do and it did what I said and I looked at it and it looked good. And then I got to a place where I was like, fuck, I drove the wrong fucking way. And then I start again.
I think you should be living if it's not getting code wrong.
Yeah.
Conceptually,
it doesn't make the code wrong, but that's not to say that what I asked wasn't wrong. Like
but not what you meant. Yeah.
Well, not even what I meant. It's like I clearly didn't know what I meant until it did what I said, and then I realized afterwards. I was like, oh, that's not what I meant. But I didn't know.
Interesting. We've got similar experiences.
Punishing, dude. It's
completely
punishing.
Different vectors. Can you give me like your last example of that happening, just so I get an idea of your code pain?
Yep. So the pattern I've been applying is get the API folder right, hand read, and I agree to it. Then I roll down and I come down to the provider folder. I worked really hard to hand through like 5 different iterations, get this test and this file working correctly. And then I went to my old buddy here, GPT, and then I was like, hey, I need to create the branch right provider text file. And so here was about a 36 kilotoken load where this was effectively the prompt. This was the prompt. And now what it does is, so I'm trying to make the provider interface match the consumer interface. So what I give to people writing code, I want it to match closely with what the server provides in the back end to fulfill those services, because I learned that to have 2 services means now I got to read more code, too much code, and that was what caused my most recent rewrite. But this particular error was where it didn't realize that I wanted it to match the provider version of the interface, which is similar but very slightly different. And it wrote the code to match the consumer side code. And I read like about a third through the file, and then I was like, oh, hang on a minute, that's not right. And so back I went again. But that's a very low, that's a small error compared to the error of it doing what I wanted, me checking it being good, I'm happy, move on, realize that there was an architectural flaw. And so at times I've been able to ask for help on the architectural flaws or the architectural designs, but the issue has really been wrapping my head around the whole picture to pick the solution that is the least amount of information overall. And then I have to build out each module and hope that once I've assembled everything, it wasn't like sweeping a bunch of dirt under a rug and it didn't just pop up somewhere else, the complexity, I need to have actually like made choices that removed whole chunks of complexity.
Can you scroll right to the top, which is a pain because they don't have a ISO up
They
arrow.
don't give you that, eh? Yeah, I know. I'm like,
It's
you
so
guys suck it. Like, just
useful.
get your bot to write a fucking
It's so
thing.
easy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Please fix it. Right. I don't know whether this is going to work in your domain, but what I tend to do is I start off by saying what my intent is, and you've just described to me in natural language what your intent was, saying here's what I'm trying to do, and here's your instructions.
Mm.
And if you add in that intent, what I found is it interprets that intent or
Yeah,
interprets
but
your
let's just
instruction with that intent.
what I got out from this prompt was what I wanted. There was nothing wrong with its output from this.
Yeah.
So, like, why would I change what I
sorry.
prompt?
No, it's, I was looking for one where it did get it wrong, and you said the provider got it wrong.
Yeah, I deleted that and or archived it or something. Sorry, but the fact is, like, if I was trying to write my intent, I would have missed that point anyway. The point that it needed to be told about. So that was, I find no fault in the bot for that. And I was just able to, like, I'm getting the right response. I'm trying to convey that my problem is not getting the code right. The problem is that I'm asking for the wrong designs, and I'm struggling to ask the bot to help me design, because writing single code files is not designing. You know, like generating a README is sort of designing, but if I can't even express my problem, like I'm struggling to tell you the problem, but I know the symptom, and the symptom is too many components. And so even with an AI tool, it almost like it crushes you under its weight, because if your design at some point needs a lot of components and the AI can generate it, you still got to check them all. And so now the AI's generation is working against you because there's more generation than you can process, and so you're log jammed, or you're overrun, you're overwhelmed.
Yeah, no.
Right, that's the issue I'm having.
Yeah,
but then again, I think I'm pretty sure this is my last point, and then I'll shut up. It's frustrating to me, this whole thing, because I'm like, these tools are so awesome, and yet here's how to cut your fingers off. Here's how to waste a week. You know, like the interesting thing about all of this is that these kinds of faults, when we were building Interbit, these kinds of faults took 6 to 8 months to realize that this was the problem. Right. I've been through, like, it feels like I've been through several lifetimes worth of debate and re-architecting and pondering and trialing in just, 4 or 5 days. And this is my third crack at it, right? This is my third shot at the cherry. But if I didn't have the generation tools, I'd still be on like attempt number 0.2. Like, I wouldn't have even got to the stage where I realized that I was on the wrong road and that it was all going to lead to tears anyway. I would have still been hopeful. So what it's starting to illustrate to me is the benefit is not in getting the code right or even the architecture right. These are techniques that were of the old world, where you had so much time to steer the ship that it was not only worth it to be correct and think a lot, but you also could afford to. The new technique appears to be like, just fucking run it. Just run the gauntlet as rough and ready and just crappy as possible all the way through to the end, and then go, whoops, what did we learn? Do it again. Maybe do 10 designs instead of trying to get one right, just run. Even if you think you're onto something, try a different approach. That seems to be the strategy.
Yes, and I'm going to pause there for a sec. What I'm finding is there are when I'm doing stuff on my side of the fence, I have never growing number of axioms, and there are a small number, relatively speaking, and axioms that I can understand. You must do this, you can't do that, etc. And giving that context as part of the prompt doesn't add much to the execution time. But when I see a fault, I go back to the axioms and I look at the axioms and go, oh, right, I didn't actually tell it that the provider was meant to be a specific provider, not generic.
Oh, hey, that's a really good idea. Okay, that's a really good idea. Yeah, I'll do that tomorrow. So, like, reasoning about the axioms first, and then rolling out an implementation. Yeah, that's a good technique. I'll use it.
It's a bit like having a new coding team that you have to brief every time. But then when you get it wrong, because
we'll
get it wrong.
But I mean, I've sort of done that. Like in the API folder, I added a reasoning folder that had a list of definitions of what everything was and what they could do, and sort of, why does it matter? Blah 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 blah. Right. So I did kind of try to do that, but I'll reflect more on your axioms thing, because axioms are different to definitions. Axioms are corrective instructions that you build up. They're not like saying what the thing is. They're saying what has been done wrong in the past. They're like learnings as opposed to specifications.
Yes. Yeah. Precisely.
Hey, buddy, I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to go, mate.
Oh, no worries. Yeah.
But I'd really love to show you the CRM stuff rapidly before I go.
Yeah, go for it. My time's easy, your time's hard. So
my time's hard, yeah.
Cut whenever. Yeah.
All right, cool. So this is where we're at with the back end. It still looks wonderful. Like, I love the interface at the top. But I struggle with the implementation of getting it going in an elegant way. Not because necessarily elegance is what we need in the world, but elegance with an AI generative system is essential. Otherwise, you'll just get drowned in crap, and yeah, like you'll die. So, fuck, I don't know how to estimate the time, but I feel like once I get the providers done, then it will be working. And I feel like I can get the providers done in half a day, because that's how quickly I have made providers in the past. So provided I don't get right to the end and be like, oh dear, big mistake, we should be good in like another half day's work. So we'll see how that goes. Right. So the thing that I am most thrilled about is the use of bolt.new. Now, did I show you the little customer table that I'd made?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So that took 30 minutes, right? Or less. And it was sort of sketchy and all that. And I sent that over to them, and I was like, okay, tell me what you want different. Right. And they were like, so they looked at it and they were like, yeah, that's cool. That's cool. That's cool. And then they rattled off a bunch of changes. They rattled off enough changes that it filled an A4 page of me busy scribbling notes and pushing back on some things that I was like, that's, you can't have that because these reasons, and this other one I don't want to do. Can you let me off the hook? And all these different, that type of negotiation. And then some of them were major, right? They were like, I want to be able to edit every field in the customer record. And I was like, oh, well, I haven't, okay, sure. 2.5 hours later, I rang them back.
Instead of about 4 or 5 sprints. Yeah.
Yeah, 2.5 hours later, I rang them back, ran them through the new version, and got a pass from them. And I'll show you that new version now. So this, before it was just a table. Now this is what it looks like. They asked for these different fields. It does a search that also includes their address. So you can search for, all sorts of different things like the road name, etc., etc. You can get this modal that shows the customer now. It has a transaction history that shows when things happened. Randomly, it'll show when the next scheduled service is due down here. If you click this button, you can edit all the different boxes. If you change something, you'll see the field gets highlighted so you know that it's dirty. If you try and click away, you'll get the warning. Keep on editing. Okay, if I go to save, I get the dialogue, I get the welcome. I can try and save it and it will randomly error so that I can test trying again.
How much of that, the kind of, if you leave, trying to leave, says, do you want to like dump your data? How much did you have to do, or did the bot just say?
All of it. Right. So it was, but the lesson I learned is that with generative AI, using frameworks sucks. Don't do it. So even things like using TypeScript, which is used to specify interfaces, a lot of the techniques for constraining what changes could be made in the code as a defensive posture against your coworkers from breaking something accidentally, those cost more time than they're worth. You don't need lots of dependencies. You don't need lots of libraries, lots of frameworks. These bots, they can write in almost close to pure HTML and CSS. And if they're the ones that are managing all that, you can focus on the output. And so you don't need to have 1,001 different little techniques or tools to reduce how much you, the human, have to type or understand. You almost want to reduce back to purity, like just pure, simple code that's verbose. Sure, it's verbose, but you don't care. The bot makes it.
Right. That's very similar to an astonishingly fruitful point that you made 4 calls ago about allowing the bot to flop.
Yeah, bot flop.
Which I've been using. It's like I'm no longer telling it what the output should be like or format. It's just like, just do it.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, every single thing had to be spoken about and introduced, but that's fine. Like, it's just.
But even that, inside of if it's just completely new, a different application entirely, you could speak, or even you could, scrape emails and so on, and imply a flow, and then talk to the flow. So you don't need to create it out of whole cloth. because it would be like, all right, okay, so here's a flow, and it's like, I now ask, for example, give me a CRM that stores this. Boom. Okay. Add in where it could go wrong. Boom. Add in what the response is, and then you get a flow. And
Mm.
now you've got a bootstrap up. You don't
Yeah.
need to do it out of Puff.
Yeah. So it also becomes apparent that there were a couple of times I hit issues here that clearly I'm pretty sure it's Claude 3.5 that's in the background of Bolt.new. It could
Mm-hmm.
not, it entered into like a loop where it couldn't solve a particular problem. And so I concated the contents of the project, dropped it into O1 Pro, and it solved it in like, sure, it took 3 minutes of thinking, but it came back with like a 8-line paragraph, and it's like, this is the problem. So I, copy pasted it in, and then everything was fine, right? So my point is that these tools are going to get like flawless, and what are we doing, right? Like this is easy. It's almost like any UI you want, we can make. And UI was actually the thing that held us back when we were trying to build the blockchain. Was we couldn't figure out how to economically build UI, even if we could economically build backend stuff theoretically. But now here is this tool that can just like make this stuff like it's nothing. It's so fast that it's almost not worth thoroughly testing it, because I can make a new one faster than I can go through the checklist of user stories and integration tests and use. I'm like, I just look at, you want to change here, you want a new one here, and so long as the underlying service, like the server, is like very, very robust in terms of data controls, the UI is like, the fix can be while you wait on the phone, basically. Talk to me and I'll fix it on the spot. Not, I'd like to submit a proposal for a change request to the application, please.
And it's probably going to
So,
get better from there.
yeah, times they are changing.
Yeah.
I
I wouldn't be
gotta,
surprised.
I gotta,
Oh man! All right, yeah. I've got quite a
I
few
gotta run.
things to
Yeah,
feedback, but they're
I'm
all
gonna,
good.
I'm gonna
They're
stop
all
the
good.
recording. Stop the recording, but I'm
Yeah,
gonna.
go for it, and I'll stop it this
Okay,
side.
recording's
So
off. Oh, we can keep it going there. I just gotta upload the YouTube thing, so I got
oh
another
yeah.
about
This
10 minutes.
side is only going into our bots. Yeah.
So thank you.
What did we say? I can easily see. I don't know how fast, a year, roughly. Where every individual actually can just configure their own UI.
Yeah, but it's
The people who
I
are
can't help but
doing
thinking that
a job,
there's.
that would be the first thing we look at. Is like, what was the
I can't help
these
thinking that
glass?
that's maybe not gonna work out.
You don't think so? I think people
Nah,
are willing to.
because like when I look at this and how I got there,
Yeah.
there were so many ways that you could have gone wrong,
Yeah,
right?
but the thing is, it's not beyond the wit of man to put in the obvious things. Now,
Yeah.
all the obvious error checks and so on, that's just another layer which the AI can do, saying, okay, right, here's how a UI works.
All right. Well, look, I don't intend to argue with you. I'm just like, so what do we do about it? I guess, right? There's a delay between when what you're talking about happens, and where we are now, and it seems like a very lucrative spot for us because people are still charging for software.
It does, and the uh, I'm a bit like you. Remember about 2 weeks ago, you were saying you were freaking out because They still just like they're just doing stuff so fast.
Yep. I'm still freaking out. This is me
Yeah.
permanently freaked out. Like, I think this is how PTSD develops, sustained
Yeah.
freaked out states.
Well, over the last 4 or 5 days, I started to get bots to argue about the bots about reasoning, um, and only using our existing definitions and transcripts. It's come up with something that, well, not only did it come up with something that, to my eye, when I was going through line by line, which I'm still doing as you are, because I don't quite trust it, but also pointed out, you've forgotten about feedback loops. You're using softmax. That's not a good thing because it, eventually, softmax always gets to infinity. So here's the better. It was doing things that I had to then ask another bot, what the hell is this talking about? Explain it to me. So the rate of increase is exceptional.
Mm.
But at no point has and I've tried this. I put it into one pro just as I was eating lunch. It's like I put in a description of Dreamcatcher, and it came up with like rubbish. So the idea around Dreamcatcher, I think, is our keep. That's our stronghold against
You
all
think
this.
the because you think that that idea is not intrinsic within the logic of the bot, either from its training data or from the way it thinks or has been trained to think. It doesn't come naturally, that concept, yeah?
Yeah, because the weighting in their training data is all about incentives and shares and share options, and it comes up with it came up with a whole bunch of shitty things.
Because so hang on. So you're saying because what we're doing goes so against the grain of this massive weight of established
Yeah,
knowledge that hasn't been questioned, the bot flops wrong. The bot flops
yeah.
away from it naturally, right?
Well, it doesn't flop wrong; it flops traditional. What we're saying was correct. It was just like nothing even close to Dreamcatcher. Not even close. It was very interesting. It was all about how you incentivize employees, how you keep shareholders happy, how you incentivize board members. It's like what? No. And that was just a clean run. And it gave a lot of information about what I wanted to,
Oh, that's
what my
fucking
intent
interesting.
was all this sort of thing. I just didn't get it. So I think that is our last readout. That's where we hold out. Um, I mean, we got just a few days ago DeepSeek. There will be others. It's just going to get
Yeah.
faster, cheaper,
Faster and
etc.
faster and faster. Yeah. Yeah.
But that is our stronghold.
Yeah, I'm very much freaking out. I just we gotta get this thing launched and riding the wave. Like we gotta stand up on the surfboard. I can feel the wave pulling us along, and we're able to kick out the way some of the other bum surfers that are around us. But we need to do that critical stand up maneuver.
Yeah. Well, I think. Well, we've said this a lot. Unfortunately, we've said it a lot for a number of months. But I can see the light of the tunnel, end of the tunnel here. And I think the only thing that's holding me up on this side is if I was more gung ho, I would just put the maths and the definitions out there generate a bunch of software to support it. Boom.
You should do that. You should do that. Why are you not doing it?
Because I'm still not certain that I've told it the right things or
Who cares?
completely correct. But I think
Don't worry about it.
we well the stuff that generated, which is committed. I don't expect you to look at because it's a ton of shit. There's a ton of good stuff. It's really difficult to get through. But the reason I want to do some renders is to spot the obvious flaws in it. So adding in synthetic data. I've also got it to write a couple of news articles, academic papers, even PhD level. And it does it. So that gives you something you can get your teeth into as opposed to reading each file individually, because it's very difficult to get your head around what I mean. We've got 62 files in the moment in terms of each mass part in lore. It's like you get to
I gotta
about
go.
30.
I'll be right back. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries. No worries.
You still there?
Hey.
Hey, sorry about that.
Yeah, a good camera angle. I think I've probably been off camera for most of this time. Doesn't matter.
Mate, I thought I caught a cat, but I did not.
All right. Okay.
Buggeration.
Why are you trying to catch cat?
Because it keeps pooing in the house. That's why.
Oh yeah, the training cat thing. Yeah, that whole thing where people always think that cats are more intelligent than dogs, even though you can get dogs to sniff out drugs in an airport, and you can hardly get a cat not to use your car.
Now, what do I do with Riverside?
I'm still in the live recording. I'm 99% uploaded.
If you just do leave, and I'll do leave, and then it should sort itself out. Just take a bit of, it's like 10 minutes to do it.